Morena and welcome to CIO Yarn Live. I'm your host, Ryan the Lion, and today's special guest, June the 3rd, is none other than Bill Moses, or hashtag Be Like Bill, if you remember from the early days of the vaccine. Was it vaccine? No, it was scanning for the vaccine. No, scanning for the... but there was a great campaign, and someone adopted the hashtag Be Like Bill for it, and here we are, this man himself. So, welcome to CIO Yarn Live, Bill. How are you going?
Kia ora, Ryan. Good. How are you going? I hear that you've had a little bit of health problems recently.
Yeah. So I'm on day 3 of negative tests after having COVID, but I'm still having some symptoms. So I thought that it was like negative tests meant you're out of the woods, but it doesn't mean you're out of the woods. And what I've heard, the beauty of posting about it, is all the feedback about don't go hard just because you got a negative test. And again, last night, after 2 to 3 nights of no night sweats, I had night sweats last night. Yes. So the thing is, you do need to take it easy, and it feels at times like you can just keep trucking on. And this is just working at home, right? But still, the energy. And they talk about brain fog, and it's almost like if you have a tank, and this is your brain at full. But you with this brain fog, it's almost like you do some work. You do that to yourself each time. So I do some work and then have a sleep. Do some work, have a sleep. Yeah, just sleep would be the advice. Because I don't know if it's true or if it's just what people are saying, but they're saying careful you don't give yourself long COVID because you're continually working through it, and therefore it stays around.
It reminds me of this video sort of Simon Sinek about introverts and extroverts, and the tank for an introvert, the tank will deplete when they're in a social context. Yeah. And so they want to get out of a social context to fill out the tank. And extroverts, they fill their tank up when they're with other people. So you need to fill your tank up, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, fill up with sleep. There we go. So, hey, as always, we'd like to ask our guest to introduce himself AFQY styles, which is to provide us with a bit of a picture of who you are outside of work, and as well as inside work, but of course, especially outside of work, because that's meet the person, not the suit. So, do you think you could give us a bit of an idea of who Mr. Moses is?
Kia ora, Ryan. Tēnā koutou e te whānau. Ko ruahine te maunga te rene taku nākau. Ko tūtaikuri to awa I mahia nei aku maharahara. Kei ahuriri ahau. Kei te whanganui a tāra o e noho ana. Ko uramu toku ingoa. He mihi mai oha ki na tangata o te rānei. So I come from the Hawke's Bay, and the Ruahine mountain ranges were ones that we grew up beneath. So it's a mountain range that actually is close to my heart. Went to school in Hastings. I went to St John's College and drove, well, I didn't drive the bus, but we took the bus to school every morning across the Tūtaikuri River. So it's a river that I suppose alleviates my worries or washes my worries away. Like I say, I grew up in Napier, grew up in Hawke's Bay, now living in Wellington, and I've been here since I went to university with my wife and my son, and I've got older children that also live in Wellington, and we have grandchildren as well. So it's just a little welcome, and I think I would like to thank Steve from Datacom and Prashant from NZQA for encouraging me to actually learn my mihi, because I was really proud when I saw them do that live on LinkedIn as well.
Very cool. Absolutely. So I must admit, it's time that I learn mine. I have one that's written out, and I was taught, I was in the course, we got to write it out, but we didn't actually get to fully learn it. And mine is quite specialized and written in a particular way. So it's not able to just learn from hearing others, I guess is it. But I must get back to doing that. I got myself busy also learning my Irish ancestry as a result of starting to learn about Māori, Te Ao Māori, and was inspired by their concept of identity to investigate my own. So I'm kind of running both at the same time, which, yeah, maybe should be one at a time, but that's me. Try to jam everything in it at once. So thank you very much. And hey, let's have a look at our first question, right? So as always, and just look, before I do, sorry, because I'm pretty bad at this in the past, is to thank our sponsors. So Parallo, who have been sponsoring AFQY Wellington, which you weren't able to attend, and you'll see on video another bit of a hashtag Be Like Bill with a bunch of the people there having a bit of a laugh. But Parallo and Shaun Weber, who have a enterprise size of their business related to Commvault and VMware, looking after hybrid cloud and data protection, have sponsored CIO YARN Live for the month of June. So thank you very much to the team. Let's get that mention in there. And now let's get started with the first question of the three, which is around culture. So what we're really keen to understand, Bill, if you can, is what are the key aspects of culture for you, and what are the sorts of things that you actively do to shape a team culture?
So I've been thinking about this because at the moment I am privileged to head up a team of 4 very specialized people. So it's not a massive team, but in the past I have had big teams as well. And I think most of us will go through career changes where we do have big teams and we do have small teams, and sometimes we're just there as sole charge. I've actively looked at culture in larger teams because you absolutely have to. I remember coming into one team in the public service once, and with the engagement surveys, they were in the lower quartile of the organisation. So we had to work really hard with that team to build up a culture. And culture isn't spread by me as a leader. It has to be encouraged from within the team. So I get them together on a regular basis and ask them what they want, and then I'd survey them. We just had a little survey based on what's going on at the moment. How are you feeling? Good, so, or bad? And ask them to provide any comments. And just the mere process of asking them to provide feedback and asking them what we could do to make things better in the workplace had a lot of positive impact, and we lifted the engagement survey scores for that team to the top quartile of the organisation within 12 months. At the time, the Lego movie was out, so we put Lego posters up around exemplifying the things, the cultural things that we actually wanted to do as a team, and they were all based around everything is awesome and Lego characters. And whilst if you know me, I'm quite keen into my Lego and Star Wars. It wasn't me that actually suggested that. It was led by the team. So culture has to be led by the team and guided and nurtured by you. So like I said, now I'm accountable to a small but perfectly well-formed team, and they're largely self-sufficient because we need to have backups if someone's away. I'll be there providing diligent user access or able to help out with Azure Active Directory and things like that. But when I was thinking about the answer to this question that I knew you were going to pose to me, I actually feel a little bit guilty within the team because I'm largely leaving them to do their own thing. I'm trusting them to do their job. But maybe I could be a little bit more proactive in building a culture within that team. When I came into the organisation, we're in the Public Service Commission. We're a smaller organisation with a critical workforce role in the public service, but smaller organisation. Rather than think of IT as my team, I thought of the whole organisation as my team. And I saw it as my job to build the digital culture, build the digital awareness, build the digital maturity within the organisation. So when I was thinking about the question, I thought that there were a couple of contexts, and you could only really respond to that question based on the context you're in. But with both of those contexts, large teams, small teams, I think I focus on making sure that individuals know their purpose and how their role affects the larger goals, purposes of the whole organisation. So providing that linking mechanism there, Ryan.
Yeah, that's a really interesting outlook, because I was quite intrigued by where you're talking about looking at the whole team, as in the whole business team, and looking at their digital maturity in aspects such as that. It was started making me think. It's like, yeah, actually, especially with the COVID time, we're doing a lot of what we're doing now, talking online. Although this is also being broadcast a little further than just the two of us, but there's a huge range of differences, and even now, if you look at me now, you can only see so much of me. You're missing my hands, so there's a whole lot of body language that you're probably not gathering in terms of communication and all the rest of it. But so are you able to share with us a little bit more about what you're doing around the digital maturity of the whole organization?
Yeah, it's basically around training, and we put in a whole heap of technology, right? All of us technology leads put in a whole heap of new technology over the last couple of years, and ideally the technology is there to enable the organization to do their job without a whole heap of input from technology providers. So my role over the past 2 years has been, I put in technology. We put in Teams rooms, and we've got Poly Studios up there, the X50s and the X30s. I could go into a whole heap of technical detail about that. We don't have a wide network in the organization. Everything's Wi-Fi. Woohoo, the Meraki's up there. Everything works really well. But it's pretty useless in Surface Hubs. I love my Surface Hubs. But it's pretty useless if the organization don't know how to use them. So it was a detailed project over the first year just to train everybody up on how to be self-sufficient in their technology needs. So if they needed to use something, they didn't need to come and talk to me. I'm quite happy for them to come and chat, and they still do with the whole team. But it's all about enabling the organization to use the technology we put in place, and to make sure the technology is as simple as possible to use.
Awesome. So thinking about the smaller team of 4, and you recognize that you haven't maybe done as much with or for them as you have in the past with larger teams. When you realize that, what sorts of things do you think that you'd like to do? And this is looking at what sort of activities or actions might you do. I know you've mentioned you start by asking what they need, but do you have any other additional thoughts that you might be able to share with us as to how to actively create that culture that they might like?
I think what I've had to shift to is making sure that each individual is doing something that they really enjoy doing. So there's a lot more listening on my part, and rather than forcing someone down a particular career route, asking them what they enjoy and where they would see their career in the next 2, 3, 5 years, and then helping them achieve that. I mean, I've largely been there, done that. There are some more things I would like to do with my career. Obviously, I'm not about to retire, although some of my team think I'm nearly there. But there are some things that I can help my team with, and I have to admit, I really love seeing my team members grow and learn new technologies or new skills, go out there and maybe train up the organization, stand in front of the whole organization, and teach the organization something that they've learned, and the joy that they get out of that learning and sharing that learning with everybody else. I really love that, and I feed off that.
Yep. So last question on this: how do you ensure that all the work that needs to be done gets done, as well as enabling people to do work that they want to do? It's almost, they might actually be the same thing, but for some reason in my mind, there's like all the stuff I'd like to do over there, and all the stuff we have to do still over there. Is it a matter of that, or can they actually end up being quite aligned? And then when they're not aligned, how do you manage that?
Over my career, I've become a big picture thinker, which isn't particularly helpful when you're trying to get stuff done on a day-to-day basis. So I think the key there, Ryan, is to make sure that you've got people in your team that complement the skills that you have. So, I mean, and to answer your question, the answer is Melissa. She's in there, she's running the program of work, she's getting the team together, making sure they know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, reporting our program of work up against our ISSP, doing all of the day-to-day stuff that I've largely left to her, so that I can think about the bigger picture within the organisation and across the public service. So I have to admit, we will be lost without her, and without Hayley, and without Nihal actually doing their day-to-day jobs against the program of work that we've set.
Cool, thanks. So now it's time to have a look at question 2, and that is, we're all in the tech industry. Tech spins our wheels, if you like. So what are the cool projects that you're working on that you're able to share with us publicly? Hopefully there's something, but if there's nothing, just let us know. What are the cool things that you and the team are cranking on?
Yep. The public service moved into, I'm going to sell the public service. I know I can't sell Ryan, but I'm going to sell the public service.
You go for it, mate. You go for it.
The people that work in the public service are really passionate about the products and services that they are responsible for, that better enables New Zealanders and public servants. I mean, I've only been in the public service for 9 years, but public servants are very passionate about that. So in the past couple of years, we've moved from a situation where we all like working together. So face to face, if you want to go and talk to somebody, you'll set up a meeting and you might go to a coffee shop and have a chat about it, and you'll learn off each other, and you'll be able to work together in person. But we're now in this hybrid environment where people are slowly losing those links, So we've got a project within the Public Service Commission, which is enabling a digitally aligned public service. So Public Service Commission is responsible for workforce guidance, huge responsibility. And I think that paradigm has changed slightly in terms of public servants want to work together, but with our hybrid paradigm, we're now not face-to-face. We're like you and I are at the moment. We're online, and we lose the nuances of communication. You can't see your hands. I can't see your facial expressions. I know you're busy with your social, but it's one of those things that
comments.
Yeah.
Still listening.
I know you are. Just making a point. But it's one of those things. If you'll be online and you could get distracted by email and that sort of thing. So I'm running a project at the moment which is called Kotahitanga, which is a togetherness within Te Reo, and it's a digital togetherness. So I want to know not necessarily the technologies that are out there, but what public servants need to do their jobs effectively, working together in our new paradigm, in our hybrid environment. So we're all hybrid by default. What do they need? And we've run a couple of workshops. We've got 2 or 3 more to go, and it's fascinating the kinds of engagements we're getting from public servants and all the things that they want to see enabled across the public service, from little things like being able to share calendars and meeting rooms from building to building, from person to person, to a shared digital identity, understanding my public service record, showing where jobs, secondments, opportunities are out there, training opportunities, that sort of thing. So all of these things that public servants want and need, we're listing all of those things down, and then got to try and figure out a way of making them happen. Now, I'll just follow on from that one. Is that my responsibility? And I get asked that question quite a lot. And in my role, potentially not. Is it the responsibility of the digital lead? I don't know. It expands out more than that. Is it responsibility of the workforce lead? Expands out more than that. Maybe it's the responsibility of the community, the wider public service community, and maybe as digital leaders across the public service, it's actually our responsibility to get off our chuffs and actually think about what we can do together to enable the public service. So, digital identity is reasonably straightforward one. As a first cab off the rank, we can link each other up with Azure Active Directory business to business links. And there are a number of large agencies out there that are already doing this with the private sector. So it's not a new thing. And to actually do those B2B links between agencies and use your agency identity is actually free. Admittedly, hosts and guests are a dedicated link. So if I wanted to be a host, all of those agencies need to link into me. And if another agency wanted to be a host, all agencies need to link into them. So it could become a bit of a spaghetti junction if we're not careful. But it's a first cab off the rank. It's something that we could potentially do reasonably quickly. And then once that's done and we can show that it's working, we can look at other like identity broker services like Okta. So that's what I'm working on at the moment, Ryan. It's not it's not a specific technology per se.
No.
But it's a way of linking people in together in this new paradigm we're in.
Yeah, well, a couple of big concepts here for me is the collaboration it's going to enable. So you talked about cross-agency, and I assume the word agency is the word you use to cover everything from ministries to state-owned enterprise to all the different types of things that fall under government. And I assume that, I can imagine back in the past, even departments within the agency would be siloed. Whereas what this does is it breaks down the silos of all agencies and enables that cross collaboration. I think was a couple of things I've done with different. I think it was the DIA, some emceeing and some emceeing and some social media on the same event, and I got paid by two different agencies. One half for the emceeing, one half for the social media. And just that little experience, I kind of saw, some of the I guess the past, whereas where you're taking the public service to the future is a much more collaborative, accessible, sort of platform. And one of the areas I picked up on was the ability to, the small things from booking meeting rooms in other buildings. Yeah, that's cool. But the bigger things is the access to training and projects and secondments, because one of the things is that happens in any organization is that look at me, I'm sales and marketing and tech, but you wouldn't know that I have a real interest potentially in culture and doing cultural work, and maybe I could find secondment into some HR project. Now, just hypothetically speaking, what you're proposing is that I could find training and I could find a project that might actually be in another agency, and not sure about the process, but the opportunity for me in the future to look at that versus not having access to it, not being able to do it, and not even knowing about it. So it's going to also create a lot more cross-pollination of connection, which is one of the 5 pillars of well-being, but also connection amongst public servants, which is going to mean that there's going to be a lot better public service because, I want to introduce you to Bill over at such and such because he can help you with that in 2 seconds flat. People will know this stuff through their cross-pollination. So it sounds really exciting.
If anybody's listening from the public service and you want to know more or be involved in the workshops, just send me a note. I think my email is there. If not, you can just send it through LinkedIn. It's no problem.
Yes. So we'll have to get this far and wide and get your inbox filled with people, because I'm sure when people start cottoning onto this, they'll be like, hell yeah. I'm quite buzzed about it, actually. I think it's pretty impressive. And the interesting thing, been having some conversations with some of your counterparts in the region, more from local government, I guess you'd say. Sue McLean from Greater Wellington Regional Council and Shaun Ordain from Wellington Council. But I've been having this big discussion around outcomes. And what I just got excited there about by the technology was the outcomes that it can achieve. And that's the magic thing. So yes, if they happen to see this, they'll have a little chuckle at me. But brilliant to hear. So we're just coming up on 5 minutes to go, and we've got 2 last questions. One is the actual third question, the lesson, but also just to prep you that we ask for closing remarks at the end to sort of summarize, round off anything you'd like to leave us with. So just tuck that in the back of your mind. But let's have a look at now the lesson question. So this is sort of framed up around what lesson would you give to yourself 20 years ago if you could, or any type of lesson that would help other people from your experience over the years growing into the role you're in now?
I was thinking about the answer to this and what I've learned from other people, because you don't grow as a person yourself. You grow through the experiences you have with the links that you have with others. So, like if I think of my first team leader, Pam Truscott, she taught me the power of kindness. She was a very, very kind person. She worked in the community. She was a justice of the peace, and I think she partly was responsible for me becoming a justice of the peace as well. Dean Thompson was a manager who taught me how to have fun in the workplace, and he actually took me from a business role in a contact center into IT. So he gave me my first job in IT. But we had fun in the team, but he also was able to switch on the seriousness when we needed to.
Yep.
I thought of my manager at Datacom, Polip Sharma, and his approach to team was almost like you were a family, and sometimes family doesn't get on, but they're always family, and they always share and support each other. I think of my first manager in the public service, Tracy Boyce. She had a laser focus on strategy, which I think is second to none in the public service. And if you ever get to have a chat to her about it, it's fascinating the way she approaches things. But she gave me a big break in the public service with a large role, and she entrusted me with her teams. And then moving on to Jeff Williamson more recently, who gave me my first CIO role. I mean, gave me my first CIO and then go through an interview process. And it was a very rigorous process of 4 interviews because they're really keen on their culture there. But that was my first chance actually leading an organization from a digital point of view. So I think just to answer that question, your experiences, your inherent self is built over time based on the interactions you have with other people. And I'm very, very grateful to those managers or those leaders in the past for sharing their experiences with me.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So I've got Dean Thompson and Tracy Boyce, but I think there was one or at least possibly 2 names that you mentioned. Could you remind me who those other names are?
Pam Truscott, who has unfortunately passed away since, and Polip Sharma and Jeff Williamson.
Cool. I might have to get those off you later on. So that's great. And what I really enjoyed there is that the things that you learn from other people, and it's amazing. I have a little comment, a little saying, which is there are managers that I would walk over hot coals for, and managers that I'd throw hot coals at. And unfortunately, there are too few managers that I would walk over hot coals for. But it sounds like you've had 5 amazing leaders that gave you each a different aspect to your kitty that have built up, I guess, who you are in the workplace. And I think you mentioned you covered fun from one of them. I think that was the guy from Datacom. Laser focus on strategy from Tracy, and each different point. So that was quite enlightening. And how did you say it? You learn a different aspect from each person. You had a much better way of saying it. If you can remind me.
You have to go back over the recording.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put it down to COVID brain fog. But yeah, you said it 2 seconds ago, and I can't think of it now. That's an example of it. So hey, look, thank you so much. We're just coming up on closing time, so the next part is your closing remarks. So I'll just do a summary if I can. It will be a little bit of a struggle, so I'll be a bit drier than normal. But we've looked across the culture, technology, and the lesson. And in culture, you talked about looking at it from different contexts because you have a small team of 4 at the moment. But you have worked and managed large teams. And when you're managing large teams, you do have to make a conscious effort around asking them what they need. And your summation was the culture is built by the team, but guided by you as a leader. So, yeah, I think that's really, really nice approach to culture. And then the technology, you're talking about Project Kotahitanga, which is giving a digital identity and access and ability to all public servants. So it breaks down the silos of where they worked, even the silos that they might have had in the places that they worked, so that public servants have access almost across government, to the tools, the simple things from booking meeting rooms and whatnot, through to the bigger things, which are looking at secondments, projects and trainings across the government, which of course will keep them fired up, doing what they love, looking after the Kiwis in New Zealand. So beautiful piece of work there. And finally, the lesson, which we just touched on, was that we almost feel like we are the sum of the experiences that we go through or have. And I made that comment about the hot coals. I think I learned as much about management from the people I'd throw hot coals at and what not to do, what I wouldn't want to do, as I did from those who I would walk over hot coals for. And that's, I guess, my way of saying what you said. And that comes us to the closing remarks. So over to you, Bill. What are your closing remarks you'd like to leave everyone with for today?
A couple of things. One, if you see someone doing something really cool, meet up with them, ask them what they're doing, steal their ideas and bring it back to your workplace. And I'm thinking Sue McLean, in terms of the way that she builds a team and she builds culture. Then people are more than happy to share with you. And the other thing is, what all those people brought to me was a sense of authenticity. And you don't need to be a different person in the workplace than you are at home. In fact, it's quite tiring if you have two different personas. Be authentic. Yes.
Well, I love it, Bill. I really do. Because that's why I have the name Ryan the Lion, because we bring our real self to work. So back in the day, people would wear their mask, and they needed to, because otherwise people would use information that people share about them to get one over them in the rat race. And I literally had it in my first job, where an older designer was jealous of my capability, and I was about to get promotion, and they managed to talk our boss out of it and reference some of the things that I was doing in my personal life to show that I wasn't really serious. And I was deadly serious, but I just like to have fun out of work, right? So this is talk about me being a young party guy. And actually, that's fine, not hurting anyone. But it was used against me to get a job from me, a promotion. So then we moved into the era where you hear HR people talking about bring your full self to work, and people still had a bit of a mask and still hid. And people, I think, it's not so much about hiding, but there's a sort of a limit, I guess, to where you'll share your personal life. And I'm probably one of the more open sharers, you could say. There are also lots of others. But I talk about bringing your real self, not just your full self, but your real self to work. And that's why I have the name Ryan the Lion. So if everyone's been wondering why, and they haven't stalked me and read my LinkedIn profile where that's explained, now you know. And it just comes back to your message of don't be two different people. Be authentic, be the same person inside, outside. And it's not only much easier for you as the person, but it's much easier for everyone else, because they can see through it. And they know that they go, oh, you're covering something up, or what are you hiding? Or, you can just feel when there's something not quite authentic, which then sends off signals. And when you don't have the answers, it stuffs with your culture, basically, is the eloquent way I'll put it. So thank you very much for today. And just before we go, I would just like to once again thank Parallo, Shaun Weber, and the team. There's also Gareth Beaumont, who's actually stationed down in Wellington and doing a lot of work in that place. But they've been a partner of AFQY for, I actually must have a look up and work it out, but it's approximately 6 years. They're our longest running partner, and have worked with us across various events and initiatives such as this. This is only our third month of having CIO YARN live running, and therefore the third month that a partner could possibly support it. So I just want to say a big thank you to them. And of course, a big thank you to you for your time. Really appreciated all of your insights, lessons, and what you've shared today. So thank you very much. And now we can say ka kite anō and let everyone get back to work, including ourselves.
Ngā mihi rā.
Thank you very much. Cheers everybody. Okay.